So Joe Biden gave an interview with ABC, and now you see why the Democrats want to hide him in the basement. They don't want this guy going anywhere. They don't want, if you remember those Lord of the Rings things, they don't want him to leave the Shire. Don't leave the Shire. Because every time Joe Biden leaves the basement and gives an interview, disaster ensues immediately. You don't believe me? Listen, on a very serious note, trust me. Trust me here, I'm begging you. Joe Biden has said a lot of dumb things during the campaign. You ain't black, all the racial stuff, all the nonsense, his lies about taxes, a lot of bad things that I think will hurt him. This right here will be the single most damaging thing he has said this entire campaign. I have absolutely no doubt. I'm going to play it, and on the other side, I don't even need to tell you why, but I'll tell you why anyway. Check this out.
Sworn in come January, and we have coronavirus and the flu combining, which many scientists have said is a real possibility. Would you be prepared to shut this country down again?
I would be prepared to do whatever it takes to save lives, because we cannot get the country moving until we control the virus. That is the fundamental flaw of this administration's thinking to begin with. In order to keep the country running and moving and the economy growing and people employed, you have to fix the virus. You have to deal with the virus.
So if the scientists say, shut it down?
I would shut it down. I would listen to the scientists.
Folks, I cannot emphasize to you in strong enough terms how destructive this is going to be to Joe Biden. One, we knew that's what he would do because Joe Biden is an empty slate. Folks, he's not there. I'm very sorry, but he's not there. I don't wish ill will on anyone. The guy is not there. He is a blank slate, an empty vessel. He is a blank canvas that Bernie Sanders, AOC, and other radical leftists he's chosen to surround himself with. It's not me giving you a talking point, are going to paint on that canvas whatever they want. And what they want, I promise, is not going to be what you want. And what they want is they want shutdowns until they can get local governments and that may lean conservative or Republican and the federal government to cave to their demands. Higher taxes, the destruction of wealth. That's what they're all about. How do you think that sounds? I would lock it down again to a restaurant owner. An athletic, say some athletic team that just got back on the field. How do you think that sounds to a local hardware store owner who just got his door open again, is barely, maybe he's slightly in the black now after being in the red for 3 months of this plague disaster imposed upon us? You're going to lock it down again? I'm telling you right now, on the fence voters, this will be, mark that date. This will be the single most destructive thing Joe Biden has said so far. Now, I've got an article coming up later. It's an important one from the UK Daily Mail showing how these lockdowns are basically a disaster. There's no evidence that they've done anything to improve public health. There's not even a lot of evidence they've done anything to stop the stem of the coronavirus spread, no less improve public health overall. I've got an article from there comparing it to Sweden I'm going to get to later. It's important. I want to throw some facts in there too. You know, facts, something liberals have an allergy to. How we've seen cardiomyopathies, substance abuse, depression, threats of suicide, cancer diagnoses going undiagnosed, all because of these dreadful lockdowns. It gets worse. You know, I appeared on Judge Jeanine's show Saturday night, and I said to you, and I'll say it again, Biden's not a nice guy. Doesn't mean I wish ill will on anyone cognitively, because I don't. But I don't want to hear either how, oh gosh, Uncle Joe, the Scranton kid, Notre Dame Fighting Irish kid, Scranton kid, Scrappy Joe. He's not a nice guy. He's not a nice guy. He's a bad guy who's done a lot of really bad things. He has lied throughout his entire career. He is a serial plagiarist. He has been accused of plagiarism his entire life. He's been accused of lying his entire life. I got a video coming up in a minute, sped up. I'll play it in a minute. Hat tip, by the way, at Embrace More on Twitter, who gave us permission to use it. Thank you very much. But it's sped up. I got this in a minute. The guy plagiarizes everything, including Joe. Himself. Even when Biden's not busy plagiarizing others, he's plagiarizing his own speeches because he's never had an original thought. He lied about being shot at in Iraq. He lied about being arrested going to see Nelson Mandela. He lied when he told everyone he marched in the civil rights movement. He did not march in the civil rights movement. I said the past week, that's the kind of thing you think you'd remember, right? Kind of a pivotal moment in U.S. history. This incredible march for civil rights in the face of such extreme adversity and violence. You'd think you'd remember that, right? Joe, yeah, I was there. You weren't there. Your kid's involved in these shady deals in China and Ukraine while you're vice president and point man in Ukraine. You're in the Oval Office as you're setting up to frame Donald Trump and Mike Flynn using the Logan Act, and it's your suggestion. Biden's a sleazy guy. He's not a good guy. I'm very sorry to break the news to liberals out there. Oh, he's harmless. We're voting for him because he won't damage us like Trump did. Damage what? You just don't like his Twitter feed? Before the plague hit us, the economy was doing great, and so was the country. He's not a nice guy. You want proof? Here's video number 2 from his David Muir interview, or Moore, I don't know how to say his name, an ABC. I'm not doing it intentionally. Is it Muir? Moore? I don't know. I don't watch his show. ABC was going to ask the tough questions. They didn't ask anything. It was a garbage fluff interview. Trump goes on Fox. He gets hammered by certain interviewers. This guy, Biden, goes on ABC. He sits there and it's a bunch of softballs, a bunch of bunts. Listen to this go unchallenged, where Biden again repeats the myth that when Trump was talking about Charlottesville and what happened in Charlottesville, that Trump said there were fine people on both sides. And notice how he leaves out the entire context of what Trump said, and it goes nearly unchallenged completely. Check this out.
No president has ever used those words. And no president has said people coming out of fields with torches and spewing anti-Semitic bile and met by people who oppose them, and someone dies and he says they're good people on both sides. No president of the United States has ever said anything like that. Ever.
Biden's actually telling the truth there. He is. Dan, you just said he was lying. No, he said no president of the United States has ever said anything like, yeah, he's right. Including Trump. That statement he made, although intended to be a lie, Biden can't even lie right. That's how not there Biden is. He's trying to lie about Trump, insinuating that Donald Trump called white supremacists fine people. And he can't even lie right. No president's ever said that. You're right, including Trump. Here's the proof. We have to read this quote again for the umpteenth thousandth time. Quote, Donald J. Trump. I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than the neo-Nazis and white nationalists. Okay? Now, David Muir, Muiri, whatever his name is, he's probably read that quote. And he probably knows Joe Biden's trying to lie, but he's not smart enough to do so. And David Muiri doesn't really care. Just lets it go. Because he wants it out there that Trump was calling neo-Nazis fine people. It's a lie. It's what Joe Biden does. That's the kind of person, human being Joe Biden is. A liar, a plagiarist, a serial liar, an opportunist, and a corruptocrat who has leveraged his political connections and positions his entire career to enrich himself and his family. A man with no skills other than lying.
You just heard Dan Bongino.